In Ireland, your friend that is wearing this will get a caution of his hole for wearing those.
For wearing what? Those shoes?
Those black shoes or that jeans and those black shoes.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, okay. Oh, hiya! Hiya! Hiya!
And she wants ya. She's coming to get ya.
All right, welcome back. Episode 2 of what is the show called? We don't know what we're calling this yet.
Not from Chicago, but close enough.
Yeah, not from Chicago, but close enough. Episode 2 of this show, Chicago History. What was the first name we had up for?
Last Stop on Lincoln.
Last Stop on
Or
Lincoln.
Last Call on Lincoln. something?
Last Stop on Lincoln. Last Call on Lincoln would have been pretty good. But yeah, whatever this show is, brought to you by Tassos and Victor Simononik.
What up?
This show is brought to you by ourselves at the Alithio Network. If you are watching this show on this page, click the subscribe button. It's right there. We would greatly appreciate it. You can find all of our other shows there. We do a bunch of hockey stuff. We do a jazz podcast called Let's Cool One with a new episode coming out the day that this comes out, which is Tuesday. Yes, for those watching, I do have 2 computers set up right in front of me that I just bumped into. But yeah, what else do we got, Sully? Oh, Sully's show, Betting the House.
Yeah.
How are your bets doing, brother?
So far, pretty good.
You're gonna have to talk into the mic.
So
now,
far,
now that it's just the two of us, I can chirp you while we podcast a little bit. You gotta talk.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I'm off to, I think, just over 50% still. I think I've got like 3 or 4 games left. I think they're all professional football, going on later tonight. Because I think I've got the Chiefs going on right now, Jets, Steelers later tonight, and tomorrow night I have Cards, Chargers game.
Yeah. Oh, you're a Packers fan though.
I am. It was nice to see them win on the field goal today. It was great time. I was sweating that whole thing.
This is coming out Tuesday, by the way.
Yeah. So we're I'm talking about it as if it's today, but
You gotta say Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. Great games so far. I was a little disappointed watching who was that get beat up? Atlanta get beat up by Seattle. They looked a lot better in previous weeks than this week. Other than that, looking forward to talking more about it and in depth with you guys on Tuesday.
But yeah, Sully does Betting the House. So subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out our other podcasts if this is something that interested you. This is, like I said on the first episode, I think, just kind of a way for us to blow off some steam. I've been podcasting a lot personally for our hockey podcast, Chicago Hockey Radio, and then I do the morning show every day. So that was 11 shows for me in 6 days, which was a lot. But hey, that's what we're here for. So, so this is kind of a nice way to get into the week. The topic for today, we're going to talk about the Chicago Fire a little bit later.
The events, not the sports team,
not the soccer team, not the TV show either.
Yeah, good clarification on that too.
Yeah, you look up Chicago Fire, and most of what comes up is the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
I would say not really. And then I would say the soccer team is second. You have to type in the Great Chicago Fire to get the events that went down in 1871. But we do have a list of stuff to get to beforehand. You want to dive into the list, Sully?
Yeah, sure. Can I start with the...
You want to start?
Just because of the bye week for the Bears. So, yeah, like I just said, bye week for the Bears. And I don't think it could have happened at a more ironic time that Jay Cutler got arrested a few days ago. DUI, weapons charges.
Weapons charges?
Yep.
Did it say what?
It said the actual charge is possession of a handgun, but there was, according to this, there was also a rifle, a loaded pistol and a rifle in Cutler's vehicle in Tennessee, which probably is why it's not as bad for them down there. But yeah, according to their police department released, Cutler saying, quote, was also slurring his words, had bloodshot eyes, refused field sobriety tests, and had to be taken to a local hospital where they had to get a blood sample and a warrant for that blood search in order to be able to say he was inebriated. Yeah. Apparently offered $2,000 to not call the police, and then also attempted to flee the scene before officers arrived. Not off to a great start for him.
To who?
To the
Also,
other driver.
not off to a great start for what? Not off to a great start to what? Football season?
His life after football.
Oh, I guess he's been retired for 5 years now.
Yeah. Fair.
5, 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a great start to his life after football. Jeez.
Well, he also
not a great start to this podcast.
In 2020, 2021 revealed that he suffers from CTE. Yeah. After playing on the Bears your whole life and losing to Aaron Rodgers your entire career, that must be great overall.
This is a Chicago history podcast,
Yeah, no, I know.
We're aiming to appease our Chicago listeners and demographics. Sully and I are not from Chicago. That's where hence the name. Yeah, still look if anybody listening finds another name or thinks of another name that they would like us to use, send it our way. We'll definitely take it into consideration. But go check out our other podcasts. Leave 5 stars on this one too if you're listening. Leave a 5-star rating and review. I know I just curtailed that back into a self promo for our podcast, but that's essentially why Sully and I are doing this show, is more self promotion for us. And yeah, if there's anything we can do to get more exposure to our other shows, then that's why we're here. So yeah, Jake Cutler though, man, poor guy. Let's do the other sports thing. This is what I found. The Tampa Bay Rays, baseball team that have always had relocation swirling around them, I would say. At least the last handful of years, there were serious talks about them splitting their seasons between Tampa Bay and Montreal. They need a new arena down in Tampa Bay. And then I saw in some article, I should have the article right here. It is right here. This is from Newsweek, so I don't know the validity of this, but it should be good. And it brought up Chicago as a potential, not a relocation spot, but more of a temporary solution potentially for the Rays needing a home. And I can't imagine that Tropicana Field is that bad to where, it's unable to play in, but and that would put 3 baseball teams in Chicago, which would be unheard of.
Pretty crazy.
I think that's unheard of though,
in
as far as
city.
In a single city having 1 pro or 3 pro sports franchises of the same sport. I think that's relatively unheard of. So,
I mean, the damage is pretty bad. The entire roof is blown off. There's segments of it all inside Tropicana Field, however you want to call it. And I think Montreal's no longer available because where they were going to play, or where they thought at least of playing, is actually under construction itself now in Montreal until 2028. So
I think Montreal needs a baseball team for sure.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be good to expand the game into Canada some more.
Yeah, the Rays definitely need a new home too. This is not to undersell that, and I think the Rays work in Tampa. I think they are a plucky franchise that always plays above what their payroll indicates they should be playing, the level they should be playing at. So I was trying to find, it said here where they would be playing in Chicago, where the proposed idea had them located at. Right here, a pop-up baseball field on the 78 which is a 62-acre South Loop site where the Chicago White Sox also want to build a new stadium, could be converted for temporary major league use, according to somebody named Paul Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
So the proposal comes days after a spokesperson for Montreal's Olympic Stadium confirmed the venue would not be playable in 2025. That would have been a fun, quick solution, though. Like, the Rays need a place to play, stick them in Montreal. I know this is a thing about Chicago, and but I don't know that Chicago needs a third baseball team. I think Chicago's got two that
Can't even make the playoffs this year.
yeah, and they need to kind of figure it out a little bit as far as ownership and what the direction of some of these teams are and how they're going to go about being competitive and generating interest in a competitive market. And I mean, I guess we could do it, and honestly, people might love it here. You never know if people if that catches mainstream, that or if that just like catches around the city, like, hey, this team is like relocated here because of the damage from the hurricane, and they'll be going back to Tampa Bay or something in a year. I think people would really get behind it for a year actually here.
Yeah. Another like just out there stadium is already the A's in Oakland. They're leaving this year. There's a field there.
Do you know where they're going? Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
Las Vegas. They're going to.
Yeah, but they're not going to Las Vegas this year, are they? I think they're going to. Yeah, so they're going to like.
But they left Oakland this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to somewhere else nearby, like San Francisco or
Sacramento,
something.
it looks like.
Sacramento, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, 25 to 27 seasons in Sutter Health Park in West Sacramento.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, that leaves the Oakland Coliseum open if the...
Yeah, I don't know if they want to do that.
Yeah.
If Tampa Bay's bad.
True. Yeah, fair.
Maybe Oakland didn't go through a hurricane, but still, you know, it's not the best arena situation. So I thought that, I thought that was interesting news. I don't know. Another Chicago baseball team.
Yeah, no, it'd definitely be interesting, especially what you could see them do.
Oh, sorry, everybody.
Partnership wise, I guess, with 3 teams in the immediate area.
Yeah,
definitely some stuff could happen in terms of partnership. Yeah.
All right, I just want everybody to know I am running the board for this, so so I'm switching between me and Sully here. But yeah, so all the missteps and miscues are myself, but I've learned everything, like, as far as operating this whole thing here in the last few weeks. Man, you know what, Sully? I've gotten pretty good at it.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Excuse my language.
Oh, that's all right.
You want
what
next, or should I move on to the...
What do you got?
Last thing I wanted to talk about was Sunday, 10 years anniversary of the murder of Laquan McDonald by former CPD officer Jason Van Dyke. Terrible, shot him 16 times. And it was all caught on a dash cam that had to be pressured to be released, which I thought was kind of, I mean, it's how it goes, but I think it's a little iffy. Yeah. April the next year after that, 2015, Chicago, $5 million settlement to their family, as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office investigating the death. Yeah, I just thought it was, memorable how much what it evoked from the people, not only just in Chicago, but nationwide, like these things tend to do, given how often they happen here. And yeah.
Nice job, Sully.
Thanks.
What else we got here? Oh, this one. Chicago police seek suspects after CTA passenger maced in attempted robbery. Not funny, but
No.
So quit laughing. No, I'm just kidding. Chicago police seeking the public help in identifying the suspects involved in an attempted armed robbery on the CTA Red Line 11:52 p.m. October 9th, so about 11 days ago or 13 days ago. Sorry, I did it this time, Sully. Today's Tuesday, but today's actually Sunday for me and Sully. So, victim while riding the train was approached by at least 2 suspects who displayed a knife and maced the victim before attempting to steal their belongings. Male and female, both 18 to 25. Yeah, they got pictures of them. Don't mace people. Don't mace people. I think that's the moral of the story is you don't need to mace anybody. You don't need to steal anything, first of all, but you don't need to mace anybody.
Closed area like that's just gonna get everyone, you know.
That is gonna get everyone, yeah.
You ever accidentally like spray yourself in the face with it? It's terrible.
With mace?
Yeah.
No, I have not.
I mean, like, it wasn't directly, you know, I was driving my mom's car and I didn't realize
and
what
you
it was.
Sprayed yourself with mace while you were driving?
I sprayed the windshield, like the inside of the windshield, and like little particles like beamed off and like just barely went into my eyes, and I could smell and feel it.
Oh my God.
It was not great. Yeah. Had to park, you know, clean out the fucking eyes. Yeah. It's not a great feeling.
Yeah, no, I bet. What else do we have here on the list? Chicago Citizens Group urges officials to slow down quantum computing development. I don't know enough about that
to talk about that.
Talk about it. There was this one. Maybe you could look up something about this guy while I read this. City of Chicago to designate legendary East Lakeshore Drive as honorary Benjamin Marshall Way. Who was Benjamin Marshall? I think this thing I'm about to read will say a little bit about him. Lived 1874 to 1944.
Well, he built it.
He was an architect. Oh, okay.
And the Drake Hotel, I guess.
Oh. It's the 150th anniversary of the architect. All right. Yeah, that's cool. Secures his place as one of the city's great architectural and cultural visionaries, whose East Lakeshore Drive launched the development of the Gold Coast neighborhood. Yeah. So I think that's a public event happening soon, October 23rd. So the day after this comes out. So go check that out. That's 5:15 to 8 p.m. on October 23rd. But that is happening. You find anything about Benjamin Marshall or just the...
Yeah, not really. Just that he was known for that same thing. You know, East Lakeshore Drive had the Gold Coast.
It says the Drake Hotel showcases an Italian Renaissance grandeur, the delightfully pink fantasy of the Spanish colonial revival Edgewater Beach Apartments, and the neoclassical Parisian splendor of the residential high-rise at 1550 North Shore State Parkway, or North State Parkway. Yeah, a lot of stuff. His dedication, I'm just reading from this article from yourchicagoguide.com. Let me shout out the author, if there is one. I don't think there is. There is not. Shout out whoever wrote this.
Yeah, the 1550 North State Parkway.
What is that? Do you know what it is? This is just an apartment building?
Building in French classic design. Sometimes described as looking like a wedding cake. After designing it, Marshall moved in until he built another home for himself. 12 floors, had one apartment of 9,000 square feet divided into 15 rooms. Yeah. Then he had a bunch of numbered 179, 199, 209, and 999 East Lakeshore Drive. Helped kind of show his approach to conserving the Chicago waterfront, turning it into desirable real estate and giving it its signature look. Blackstone Hotel, Blackstone Theater. Yeah, and then I think it's hosted at the Drake Hotel, where he also constructed that.
You want to hear something funny? Well, two things. Okay, so wait. He was born what year? He was born 1874. Okay, so I love stories like this, first of all. Just anybody that does this in general with their life. So it says, remarkably, Marshall became a full-fledged partner at the architectural firm Marble and Wilson at the young age of 19, showcasing his extraordinary self-taught talent. So Pat Metheny, one of my favorite guitarists, jazz guitarist, but does everything. He went to the University of Miami, and I think he's from St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken. But he went to the University of Miami, and he got there, and as the story goes, they told them, they were like, "Oh, you shouldn't be you shouldn't be like a student here. You should be teaching here." What I have found out more recently was that was like the start of the University of Miami jazz program, like that like they had just started the program, so it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like what it is now as one of the top music schools in the country, where, you know, imagine somebody walking in and them being like, "Oh, you should be teaching here. Like you're better than the professor." But that's cool. So the young age of 19. Founded his own firm, Marshall and Fox, in 1905 after hiring MIT engineering graduate Charles E. Fox. Couple of questions for you though, but listen to this. So, and then this is how the article ends. Known for his Great Gatsby lifestyle, Marshall's social circle was filled with celebrities. He hosted lavish parties at his Wilmette studio / home overlooking Lake Michigan, with guests including Rudolph Valentino, the Ziegfeld Follies, Ethel Barrymore, Houdini, Fred and Adele Astaire, and Charlie Chaplin.
That's a lot of famous people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You
Benjamin
don't typically
Marshall.
think of, I mean, that is the such kind of when the Roaring Twenties and The Great Gatsby was based off of a little bit, you know?
Do we need to start being friends with architects?
Maybe.
Are we not of correct status yet to be hanging out with architects?
Probably not.
Do architects like hang out with, you know, some of the top in society? I guess so.
Yeah.
Maybe they used to, especially when they were like building all the coolest stuff.
Especially right after everything burned down, when they were rebuilding everything here.
True. What a good segue, Sully. What a good segue. The only other thing on the list that we had, I think, was the film festival. Mm-hmm. The Chicago International Film Festival going on. It started back on the 16th, but it goes until Sunday, October 27th. So there's still plenty of time to go see some stuff. If you wanted to go check it out, I know we are not getting paid by them, although I wish we were. We are not, but yeah, I've been to a couple like smaller film festivals before. I've never been to like the Chicago International Film Festival. I don't know if you have, but
I've not. No.
Have you been to like smaller ones or no? We should have like Raven or Reed on with us right now. I'm sure they've
talking
been
about those. Yeah. I've not. No. Yeah. I don't know.
Would you go? Not. Is it like up your alley or not really?
No, not really. And that's one of the reasons I haven't gone previously, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's talk about the Chicago fire. Do you want to start it off?
Sure.
Since the camera's already on you, I don't have to switch it.
What up? Yeah, the Great Chicago Fire, very significant event in not just Chicago's history, but American and global history. It devastated Chicago and Chicagoland in October 1871. Leading up to it, you know, very dry, very little rain, you know, a quarter of an inch in the last 4 months. So they were definitely very dry summer. The fire started Sunday, October 8th, 1871. Continued burning for 2 days until Tuesday, the 10th. Do you want to talk about the myth about Catherine O'Leary, or you want me to? I can. This is one thing I actually didn't know about it. But for a long time, the fire was blamed for starting in Catherine O'Leary's barn on the southwest side.
They said her cow kicked it. Kicked the lantern.
Kicked the lantern while she was milking her cow at 9 p.m., I think it was. And then eventually that became nonsense when the original reporter said he kind of just added that to spice up story.
The yeah, I guess he was like the first reporter on scene. The guy,
Yeah.
I forgot what his name was. But he was the first reporter on scene. The other thing I thought was interesting that we learned was 45 minutes before any fire rescue was able to show up.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was what didn't they say that was really a lot to do with the fact that there was like a miscommunication with the fire brigade scout or whatever who was on the big tower watching over the city.
Yeah.
And he kind of messed up where the smoke was coming from and sent them all to the wrong place. So it took them a while to get to the right place.
Yeah. And so there were 185 firemen around in a population of Chicago of around 300,000 people at the time. So not a lot of firemen per capita. I mean, I guess.
Per person, yeah.
Wonder how many firemen there are in Chicago now. But yeah. What do you got? 4,500 trained uniformed firefighters and paramedics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of whom are, quote, cross-trained in the use of nearly 250 pieces of equipment and apparatus, including fire engines, fire trucks, ambulances, squads, helicopters, and marine equipment. That's cool.
Yeah, so back to the fire. It obviously burned until Tuesday, so Monday, a lot of the wooden structures, and especially with the strong winds coming out, blowing northeast, I want to say, northwest. Blowing from the southwest, yeah, so going north. It jumped the Chicago River twice.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But, it was also talking about, it was a big time for water pollution, and that might have been one of the reasons it jumped so easily. So it burnt down a lot of the central business district, the courthouse, the Chicago Tribune building, and a couple other structures as residents were fleeing into the lake and Lincoln Park to be safe. And that night is sort of when the rain started to fall and help dampen the flames.
Yeah. We're reading about this too as we go. What do we got? Yeah, I mean, Chicago was pretty 300,000. I know it doesn't sound like a lot when I said the population. But it was a pretty bustling city at that point.
Yeah. It just exponentially grew after that with everyone trying to replace.
Yeah, I would say we rebounded pretty well here.
Yeah.
Chicago did pretty nice for itself.
Yeah. One thing, I found out, and I knew it a little bit, I just didn't know it was at the same time. But October 8th, the same day, the Peshtigo fire in Wisconsin happened, killing 1,500 to 2,500 people.
That was the one near Green Bay, right?
Yeah, around Green Bay.
Yeah.
On both sides. Fires also broke out all along Michigan, up until the border of Canada.
There was the one
Detroit.
in Holland, Michigan.
Yeah.
It happened the same night.
Yeah. All of this, all of it at the same time.
3,600 square miles of Michigan burned in that fire, too.
Yeah.
The railroad network was still intact after the fires, though. There was a whole video that was like 11 buildings that were still standing after the fire, and I did not. We couldn't make it through building one of the video, but there were big buildings and buildings that have stood for a while that made it through the fire.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think because of all the steel that was coming in, because Chicago before the fire was heavily relied on like timber and lumber to build, I think there was that kind of change in mentality where it's like, okay, now we also have to make sure they don't all burn down, so they switched to steel a lot, and that's how kind of skyscrapers happen, which we'll get into a little later. And it changed how Chicago looked, and I think we rebounded past and better. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the World's Fair was 1893 here, so and Chicago was pretty well put together in a good spot at that point. So, but the idea that it said it started at what is Roosevelt west of the river, spread north and east between the lake and the river, all the way up to what is now Fullerton. So, if you can imagine that, I don't know, that's a big,
it's a lot of area.
But the south side, the west side wasn't really impacted.
Yeah, because of all of it. All the wind was affecting the stream, not really, but flow of the flames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
300
people died.
3.3 square miles of the city burned. 17,000 buildings. 100,000 people. Around 1/3 of the city's population were homeless at the time.
Yep.
300 people died. Although that may or may not be true because records are now incomplete because of that. $200 million in damages.
Wow.
Priced at that time, which is billions today. Yeah.
Trying to think here. The Hall House survived the fire. The railroad system too survived the fire, which was kind of a major key toward them being able to rebuild a little bit.
Yeah.
Or a lot of it even.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting donations. Maybe you could look this up a little bit of like some more of the like what they were donating, but they got donations from Cleveland and Detroit and St. Louis and Milwaukee. And I found this was interesting. Great Britain donated books that eventually became the basis for the Chicago Public Library.
More than 8,000 volumes.
Yeah, more than 8,000 volumes. That's a lot of books. Is that like that's why I'm curious as to what the other places donated.
Individuals donated money, food, clothing.
Okay.
New York City donated $450,000 at the time, which is millions today. St. Louis, 300,000. Let me see if it gives any more. Marshall Fields donated blankets to cover victims and warned those pulled from the river. A lot of storefronts and hotels.
So a lot of like money,
changed,
food, clothing.
Yeah, storefronts, hotels changed into like shelters /
cool.
Medical stations. Yeah. Looks like the Masons and Order of the Eastern Star helped with burial costs and supported families of the loved ones who passed. Yeah.
Yeah. So books is kind of. Did a library burn up? I mean,
no. It was after. It was April 1872. Chicago City Council passed the ordinance to establish the free Chicago Public Library.
Based off of those books?
Sort of, yeah. Because they got them donated.
Gotcha.
They were like, let's do it. Yeah.
In 1872.
Yeah. A.H. Burgess of London proposed an English book donation to spur a free library in Chicago. Because before then, libraries in Chicago were private with fees you had to pay.
Really?
Yeah. Like membership fees.
Interesting. So that was their donation.
Yeah. And I think the city also learned immediately, like I was saying, they started implementing, they call them the fire limits ordinances. So it restricted a lot of construction out of wood. And
yeah, I think the whole point, the whole lesson learned here was the whole city was made of wood. Everything was made of wood. It was a dry summer. Like, to blame this woman. So in 1997, the city officially cleared O'Leary and her cow of any guilt for the fires. Glad they pardoned the cow.
Thank God.
But they cleared them of any guilt. But the whole city was made of wood. The city was a ticking time bomb for something like this, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so just don't make things of wood. And also just like be fire conscious, you know, like fire safety is a real thing. And yeah, just being mindful of things like that is always smart, you know, especially if you're around dry wood. You know, the whole city's made of dry wood. And everything was made of wood. Not just like houses and stuff, but roads and bridges and everything was made of wood.
Yeah.
So when it's dry and it hasn't rained for months and it's hot, it's not really a surprise. And to blame it on.
Yeah, I think it was a concoction of several things that included the weather. You know, them building with wood, the weather, you know.
Yeah.
You know, this also is what prompted the creation of a Chicago fire department, which was...
Well, there already was.
Yeah,
Was
but
there
those were
not?
like volunteer. Like it was like a volunteer service. Now it's a...
Okay.
Now it became a...
When did the Chicago Fire Department get started?
Uh...
The Chicago Fire Department now, I said it has 4,500 uniformed firefighters and paramedics. Also has 96 stations, 96 engines, 61 trucks, and 4 squads. What do you got?
Well, this is volunteers. Was first established 1832.
1832. See?
Yeah. And then
I told you.
I guess it was de-established. I guess they passed an ordinance organizing a paid City of Chicago Fire Department. Yeah.
When?
This says 58, but I guess
1858?
before. Yeah, so I guess even before. Maybe that was wrong, I guess.
That's all right. Hey, owning up to it, brother.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. So yeah, the people here that are firefighters, I actually don't know a lot of I don't know a lot of firefighters. You know any younger firefighters?
No, not really. I mean, there's Bryce who's an EMT, but that's different, obviously.
Yeah, I have a couple friends who are EMTs.
Yeah. But no, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Chicago definitely rebuilt too.
Yeah.
And it was called the Great Rebuilding, just like the Great Chicago Fire with the Great Rebuilding. But they cleared her of any guilt. What else should we talk about? The Chicago History Museum. So the Chicago History Museum did an exhibit called The City on Fire a couple of weeks ago for the anniversary of the devastation. It's going until January 2025. This is 153 years since the start of the fire. I think the date was what was the date? It was October, right? So it was a few weeks back was the anniversary of it.
Yeah, October 8th. So 12 days ago.
We watched like a video preview of it, and they had like charred remains from the fire, and it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like seeing like a charred household item, like a spoon.
We
and
saw
stuff.
a bunch of spoons all melted together. You know, how they kind of line up, and the bottoms were all just one big piece of metal because it had melted together. It's pretty insane to see.
But go check it out if you have some time, and if you're in the city, or even if you're not in the city and you're stopping by before January 2025. It's Chicago. Maybe Sully and I will have to go pay a visit to the Chicago History Museum. Go check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of it.
Don't forget to vote this upcoming week with the elections, both state and federal going on right now.
Yeah.
Local, state, and federal, I think, actually going on right now. At least that's what I did in Wisconsin. Or mail in your ballots if you're an absentee balloter, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are going to try and make this podcast longer too. So I think we're at about like 40 minutes right now. So we wrap through that pretty quick.
Yeah.
This podcast is clearly more fun when there are more people on it. Although I did have fun sitting with Sully here. We're both in the big studio room here, so I'm able to get him in the mix here like that. And We need more things on the wall there, Sully.
Yeah.
Right behind you. But we need more podcasts, so we're doing this. We need. I would love this podcast to even be like a longer podcast, like a two and a half hour, 3 hour pod. Because with some of these topics and with some of the things going on around the city, the more people you have in the mix, there's a lot more fun to be had in the dissection of what we're talking about and how we're talking about it, and digging into it and unearthing the history of the city. And the name of the podcast is kind of goofy. We might change it, but it also hints at the fact that neither of us are from here, and that
we're learning it at the same time you are.
Yeah, 100%. Which is fun for us because it's giving us stuff to learn that we didn't really know about the city that we lived in. At least for myself, I'm sure Sully's the same way, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, but it's more fun when we get like people from Chicago in the mix. Jack was pretty goofy the other day, but
it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So we'll get other people, friends of ours, people that work with us, people that don't, and we'll talk about some of this fun stuff. We have a fun list of topics. So we were gonna do. I'll tease some of these topics. All right. So we were gonna do a band. I'll say that we were gonna do a band next week, and then it's Halloween. We need to pre-record the episode. So we figured we would do Halloween in Chicago. I don't know how much we're going to get out of that, to be honest with you.
So it might become a little bit of both.
It might become a little bit of both. I mean, maybe we could combine. Yeah, we could probably combine
something with it.
We could combine something with it, I'm sure. But yeah. Oh, yeah. See, screwed it up again. That's what happens when it's me working the box over here. So yeah, I don't know. This podcast is going to be longer. There's going to be more people on it with me and Sully. Hit us up for a new name. And if you have any topic ideas, I mean, we have like a list of like almost 300.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Odds are if you have a topic in mind, we've already thought of it. But in case you haven't,
send it our way.
Send it our way. Sure. Why not? We'd love the interaction anyways. Follow us on Instagram at Alithio Network, ALITHIO Network. And yeah, website, alithionetwork.com. This YouTube channel, if you're watching on YouTube, please click subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave 5 stars, leave a comment, leave a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Means a lot when anybody gets to the end of these podcasts. And we are pumped to bring you more content in the future with this. This is a nice, short and sweet one, but pumped to do this again.
Yeah.
We need to get Reed in the mix here.
Yeah.
Totally.
No, I agree.
Cool. All right. Anything else, Sully?
No, don't forget to vote again.
Don't forget to vote.
Shout out the other shows on our channel. I think you just did, right?
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Good Morning Hockey, Chicago Hockey Radio.
Oh, thanks, bud.
That's a cool one. Betting the House, mine.
Yeah.
Foreign Blues. Yeah, check us out.
Cool.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pods, anywhere you get your podcasts or audio will be there. Fuck yeah. Peace out, guys.
All right. Yep. Peace.